A Hooters employee put wings in her pants. This happened in Houston, Texas, when 24-year-old Jessica Sinclair was caught by one of her co-workers dipping hot wings in her pants before serving customers. So before I continue with the story, I wanted to let you guys know that if you search this case online, you're gonna find a whole bunch of photos of this girl who is not Jessica Sinclair, but the internet used her photo from a previous incident for this case. Anyways, when this girl was caught, she was taken into custody and she told authorities some disturbing details. This is a little TMI, but apparently the Hooters employee did this while she was on and off her menstrual cycle. Her excuse...
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. What we do is, man, we break down scary and creepy videos from different parts of the internet, man. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, Facebook reels, man. Anything weird, creepy, unusual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, and hitting that like button, spreading the word about the channel. Really appreciate that, man. Like I said, we making these small, intimate changes onto the channel. Like I said, iron out the kinks, but we're gonna get this right. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth.
Jade Jenks. On December 31st, 2020, Jade was cleaning her stepfather's house when she found her own photos on his computer. Her stepfather, Tom Merriman, was at the doctor's when she found out, and she picked him up and then took his life. These nudes were taken about 10 years ago by her boyfriend at the time, and she has no idea how her stepfather got a hold of these photos. Prosecutors believe that Jade drugged Tom first, and then she strangled him in her car after she picked him up from his appointment. She then tried to bring Tom into his house using a wheelchair, but he fell onto the driveway, and since she couldn't pick him back up, she just piled boxes on top of him to hide him from neighbors. Jade has maintained her innocence and says that she did not murder Tom and that she found him like that, but she panicked and that's why she never called for help. Although Jade does claim that growing up, her stepfather was very inappropriate with her and she felt manipulated by him, but she never told anyone. Investigators did find a lot of evidence against Jade, and one of these things were that she texted two people telling them that she did murder Tom. Jade was eventually convicted of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole in 25 years.
Gotta watch who you be around, man.
I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die.
This is Mackenzie Sharilla, a TikToker who killed her boyfriend and his friend in 2022. So as you saw in that TikTok video, Mackenzie was bragging about her drug use. So in July of 2022, Mackenzie was in her car with her boyfriend and his friend, Dominic and Davian, and they were all just having a fun night smoking pot. That is, until Mackenzie, who was driving, decided to suddenly accelerate to 100 miles per hour in the vehicle. And she slammed the car into the brick wall of a warehouse going 100 miles an hour with no attempt made to hit the brakes. It's unknown exactly how Mackenzie survived this insane car crash, but like I said before, both other passengers, her boyfriend and his friend, died at the scene. Recently though, Mackenzie was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison for these deaths. That's because the prosecutors argued that Mackenzie actually set out to murder her boyfriend after their fling fizzled out. And she decided that the best way to do this would be a car crash. And her boyfriend's friend, Dominic, just ended up being cargo. I think, once again, this is just an example of how someone can seem so normal on the internet, but you have no idea who they are or what they're capable of. But thankfully, she faced massive repercussions for her actions here. And she's going to be in prison for a long time and have a lot of time to think about the terrible decisions she made.
I've said it a couple of times on our videos to get the secrets, man. Like, you truly never know. I learned since I started doing this internet stuff, man. It's like, it's a perception, because once you hit that stop recording button and you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. She's talking about she can do all that stuff and it won't affect her. And look what happened at the end, man. Every action has a reaction, man.
7th, I'll never forget, January 7th, I couldn't sleep. So I was up until 2 in the morning. And I swear to God, I am not making this up. At 2 in the morning, I broke out in tears. I was just crying uncontrollably. And I called the nurse in and I told her, I miss my mom, I miss my mom. I love my mom. I want to go home to my mom. Turns out she ended her life.
Was it around that time that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I always say that it was really January 8th that she died, not the 7th, because I just have this feeling that it was then.
Did you guys hear there's another
She
killer
felt it,
on the
man.
run? This right here is Christopher Haynes, and on Wednesday morning, he was arrested for the killing of Brent Hayward that happened in a Plainsville, Virginia gas station back on August 12th.
Oh.
Shortly into questioning him, he started complaining of ankle pain, so they took him to the ER to be checked out. While they were there, they were exchanging the handcuffs, basically undoing them from his wrists, and they were going to do one of them from his wrist to the gurney. And during that process, when he wasn't actually hooked up to anything, he made a run for it. Here's a picture of him from the surveillance. Now, at one point, I guess he still had a red shoe on the foot that wasn't injured, but he obviously kicked it off somewhere. Okay, so as you can see, he's a black man. He has shoulder-length dreadlocks and a Washington Nationals tattoo right here on the front of his neck. He may be wearing a black shirt, gray shorts. He kicked the red shoe off, but he does have a black handcuff hanging from one of his wrists. And the DC Metropolitan Police have announced a $25,000 reward for information leading to his capture. You guys, this guy is really dangerous. He has a lengthy rap sheet, including assault and battery against law enforcement. And like I said, he killed somebody. He was last seen at the George Washington University Hospital in Washington, D.C. And I'm telling you right now, as a nurse with 12 years of experience, I have had tons of inmates over my time, and there are always 2 officers present with the inmate at all times, especially for a charge this serious, and they never unhook them until they are already hooked to the other thing. So I don't understand this, how this has happened. I know it's being investigated, but policies obviously were not followed through on. Anyway, that's it for now. I will keep everybody updated, and of course, if you live in that area, be on high alert.
How did they be escaping like that, man? Like she said, there's supposed to be 2 officers present. People ain't following through on their job.
A Hooters
was an
employee
edit.
put wings in her pants. This happened in Houston, Texas, when 24-year-old Jessica Sinclair was caught by one of her co-workers dipping hot wings in her pants before serving customers. So before I continue with the story, I wanted to let you guys know that if you search this case online, you're gonna find a whole bunch of photos of this girl who is not Jessica Sinclair, but the internet used her photo from a previous incident for this case. Anyways, when this girl was caught, she was taken into custody and she told authorities some disturbing details. This is a little TMI, but apparently the Hooters employee did this while she was on and off her menstrual cycle. Her excuse was that she did this to customers who were rude to her or commented on her appearance. Her family came forward and said that she suffers from mental health issues and that she's been in jail quite a few times. The fact that she not only tampered with food, but bodily fluids were also involved, she does potentially face 10 to 20 years in prison.
That makes me not even want to check out every food man I get when I go out now. You never know what be going through these people's minds, man. That's why I say, always don't be rude to man to your server. This is a sign right here.
Lasted for a long moment where I said, this is the part of the story where they are going to rip me apart, dissect me to see what I eat. There came a day, it was just a trickle, and I was walking on the rocks, and the Andes Mountains were in front of me, and all of a sudden I saw smoke around the next bend. Like, my spine is reacting right now as I talk about it, because I knew what I was going to see. I went around the bend, and I see a few naked people on the beach, and they see me, and we're like a good distance apart. They're on the other side of the river, you know, arrow in hand, bow in hand. They're looking at me, they're clearly conversing, and that moment lasted for a long moment where I said, this is the part of the story where they are going to rip me apart, dissect me to see what I eat. I mean, every other story in the region that we've heard, that's the ending of it. If you're alone with these people, it's not gonna go well, and I have nothing to defend myself with. And I turned and I ran for like 3 hours, and I got in the river and I swam for a while, and all my food got wet, and yeah, it took me like a week to get back to town, and again, the things you learn in these moments.
This incest case between father and daughter is seriously disturbing.
But let's start from the beginning. In 1995, Steve Plaid was 21 years old, and he would meet a girl on the internet named Alyssa. The pair would start dating, and Alyssa would give birth to this girl. Now, Alyssa and Steve were very poor. They knew at their ages they were going to have a lot of trouble just making ends meet. So they decided to give the baby up for adoption. And she was given to a lovely family, and by all accounts, she had a very happy childhood. Now, Steve and Alyssa continued their relationship, and when Katie became 18 years old, she decided to contact her biological parents. And she got along with them really well. Against the will of her adopted family, Katie decided to move in with her biological parents. And according to Alyssa, Steve's behavior the day she moved in drastically changed. He was suddenly taking care of his appearance, going to the gym, and spending a lot of time with Katie. A few months after Katie moved in, she would suddenly become pregnant. And yes, it was her father. So Steve and Alyssa would get separated, and Steve would actually try and marry Katie. But eventually he was arrested for incest. Katie and her baby would move back in with her biological parent. Now, this story has a sad ending. Now, when Katie moved back with her biological parents, she decided to end things with Steve. Steve would eventually be released from prison. He would grab a gun and shoot Katie and her biological dad. Then Steve would turn the gun on himself. If you want to hear more crime stories, remember to hit that plus button.
We begin tonight here in Tel Aviv following the unprecedented terror attack by Hamas militants and Israel's declaration of war for the first time in 50 years. Israel's military is bombarding Gaza with airstrikes raining down on Hamas, including command centers located inside apartment buildings. More than 1,500 people have been killed. Tonight we are learning at least 900 Israelis dead. Tonight Hamas claims they are holding at least 100 people hostage, including an unknown number of Americans. At least 11 Americans are among the dead.
What the hell?
We have also learned that one of the victims is Deborah Matthias, and we're going to hear from her father in just a few moments. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressing the nation, saying today Israel didn't start this war, but Israel will finish it. Tonight, the military is preparing for a likely ground invasion of Gaza, with reports of fighting on Israel's northern border as well. That is significant. President Biden declared his unwavering support for Israel, and he's sending U.S. ships closer to the region in response to the attack.
A 5-year-old girl has been killed at a homeless camp after being kicked out of her family's home. Last Monday, authorities responded to a 911 call for an injured girl at a Topeka gas station. They were at the scene in less than 2 minutes, but tragically, Zoe Felix was pronounced deceased at 6:39 p.m. It was reportedly clear she had been assaulted and murdered, with the investigation immediately moving over to a nearby field or homeless camp. As we now know, just a few weeks ago, the 5-year-old was kicked out by her mother. So were other family members and a family friend named Michael Cherry, who Zoe was then forced to live with in a tent at the camp. Michael ultimately took her life there and has since been charged with her murder. According to Zoe's old neighbors, she wasn't enrolled in school this year, and they had taken care of her needs for food, clothing, and bathing. They contacted CPS countless times about the house being covered in dog feces and having no power, but nothing was done. As for Zoe's mom, she was placed on probation in November after driving under the influence with Zoe in the car and then injuring her in a car accident. Police have responded to 23 calls at her home in the past 2 years, with the most recent being September 5th for a child living without any utilities. It was less than a month before Zoe was killed, and somehow it was decided that all was well. Today, people everywhere are protesting for Zoe, as this couldn't have been more preventable. The GoFundMe has since been disabled, as the funeral home has offered to pay for the service, but there are petitions you can sign in hopes of some justice and accountability in this case.
Israel has currently been...
There was reports after reports, man. There were a ton of calls to help her out, and look what happened. People need to freaking... They need to be able to. They need to do their jobs, man. Follow up. You never know what can happen.
Under attack by a terrorist organization called Hamas for the past few days, and it seems like end-time Bible prophecy is unfolding before our very eyes. Iran recently ordered Hamas to invade Israel, and this organization has already slaughtered 250 innocent civilians, as well as leaving another 1,500 injured. Hamas has been recognized across the world as a terrorist organization, as they are heavily influenced by Islamic ideologies. Unfortunately, this type of behavior is taught in the Quran. In Surah Al-Ma'idah 533, it says this: "The punishment of those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive to make mischief in the land is only this, that they should be murdered or crucified, or their hands and their feet should be cut off from opposite sides, or they should be imprisoned. This shall be as a disgrace for them in this world, and in the hereafter they shall have a grievous chastisement." If you ever notice why Islamic groups are usually involved in acts of violence, it is because someone who does not believe in Islam is commanded to be annihilated due to their belief system being known as causing mischief in the land. And that is exactly what their goal is in this invasion of Israel. This ties very heavily into end-time prophecy, because the Middle East and Israel are huge end-time components that require heavy conflict with each other in order for the Antichrist to be revealed. The Bible states the Antichrist will end the conflict in Israel with her Middle Eastern neighbors, and people will have peace and security, but it is merely another tactic to bring the beast system into fruition.
Damn. A lot of information was given.
Celebrities rotting in prison in 2023. Ryan Grantham is best known for playing Rodney James in Diary of a Wimpy Kid in 2010. But these days he is rotting in prison for ending his mother's life. On March 21st, 2020, he walked up to her as she was playing the piano and discharged his weapon. He had plans to carry out an attack at his old university and to take down the Prime Minister, but he changed his mind and turned himself in. He pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and received 14 years to life. He will be eligible for parole in 2034 when he is 36 years old. Ash Armand was a series regular on the Showtime reality show Gigolos for 4 seasons until it ended in 2016. Fast forward to July 2020, Armand's friend Herline Dulai came over to watch Avatar. The next day he would call 911 because Dulai was unresponsive. He told the operator, "There was a struggle and I temporarily lost my mind." Paramedics would arrive and pronounce Dulai dead at the scene. When one of the first responders asked how she got her injuries, Armand responded, "She attacked me and I attacked her." Armand was arrested and charged with murder. In September 2021, he pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and was sentenced to 8 to 20 years in prison.
You are not going to believe it, folks.
All these people, man, in freaking Hollywood, I always have these like dark backstories, man. Especially the Diver Wimpy Kid one. I didn't even realize that until he said it, because I said I know I've seen him in something. These classic kid movies and stuff. They're not the same once you know the history behind them. Seekers.
In the biggest case that we're tracking across the country, out in Moscow, Idaho, the mass murder of those 4 1,000% innocent college students from the university. The defendant, today they file an actual alibi. Filing where he was at the time of the murders.
Not guilty. What the fuck?
Accused murderer has long had a habit of going for drives alone. Often he would go for drives at night. He did so late on November 12th and into November 13th, 2022. The accused mass murderer is not claiming to be at a specific location at a specific time. At this time, there's not a specific witness to say precisely where the accused mass murderer was at each moment of the hours between late night November 12th, 2022 and early morning November 13th, 2022. He was out driving during the late night and early morning hours, November 12th to 13th of 2022. All night, just driving.
That doesn't even sound right.
Wow.
So we all know
he summed it up for us.
Confessed to the heartbreaking act of taking the lives of his 3 sons, Clayton, Hunter, and Chase, all with a rifle. However, in a recent court proceeding, he entered a plea of not guilty to the 21 charges laid against him. Despite his plea, the judge ordered Dorman to be held without bail while awaiting a pretrial hearing on July 5th. The prosecutors shared more details in court on what happened at Dorman's home in Monroe Township on June 15th. According to Clermont County Prosecutor Mark Ticovey, the brutal act started inside the home. Dorman shot his 4-year-old Hunter twice. After this, he walked outside and shot 7-year-old Clayton while the boy was trying to escape. Clayton was wounded after being shot from behind. Colby said Dorman then walked up to him and shot him 2 more times. He then ripped 3-year-old Chase from his mother's arms and shot him. After the court session, Colby said he wants to see Dorman get the death penalty. I can only imagine the terror these little boys felt and experienced as their father, their protector, was murdering them, Colby said. He continues on to say, unfortunately, their mother saw this. You can imagine the immense trauma and terror that she experienced, and we will do the utmost in my office to see this defendant never sees the light of day again. Many people in the community agree with Colby. School bus driver Kelly Day said, if there's ever a crime that deserves the death penalty, this will definitely be the crime. A local man, Chuck Hanna, added, Dorman definitely deserves the death penalty, no questions asked. However, if Dorman is found guilty and given the death penalty, the execution system in Ohio has been extremely slow in recent years. The last person to be executed in Ohio was in 2018. This is because the previous governor, Mike DeWine, was against the death penalty, and drugs used for execution became hard to find. Defense attorney Mark Crumbian says that the situation could change in the future. He noted there could be another governor in the future that might say, hey, let's speed things up. New drugs that cause people to die that are more accessible. Some of the problems could end. Crumbian said regardless of final execution, Dorman would remain on death row if sentenced. It's still in effect, he said, and it's still the law in Ohio. Dorman was charged with 3 counts of aggravated murder after confessing. Then, a week after the shootings, a Clermont County grand jury added more charges. They added a 21-count indictment against Dorman.
This is the Hello Kitty murder case, one of the most disturbing murders you will ever hear about. This is Fan Man Yi, the Hello Kitty murder victim. On March 17, 1999, Fan was abducted by 3 men and a girl at her flat. The group then took her to an apartment where they imprisoned her for a month. The apartment was rented out by one of the killers, and they intended to make money off Fan by pimping her out to other men. During her imprisonment, she was tortured and raped, and according to one source, she was beaten up with metal bars and sometimes while being strung up and used as a punching bag. On one occasion, Fan was kicked in the head around 50 times. Spices were rubbed into Fan's wounds, her legs and feet were burned with candle wax, and hot plastic so she was unable to walk. She was forced to consume human feces and urine, and she was also forced to smile and say she enjoyed her beatings. And if she refused, they subjected her to even harsher torture. This treatment eventually led to traumatic shock and ultimately her death. Fan succumbed to her wounds between April 14th and April 15th, 1999. Some sources claim that she died while her captors were out, while others say she died overnight. Upon discovering her body, Fan's captors dismembered and boiled her remains. Her skull was sewed into a Hello Kitty doll filled with dead insects while the rest of her body was discarded. That is the picture of the Hello Kitty doll they used. And while this photo was taken, her skull was inside of it. Only her skull, one tooth, and some internal organs were recovered in a plastic bag. All 3 killers were sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 20 years. They are currently serving their life sentences as we speak. Fan Man Yi's captors treated her like she was nothing and degraded her so much. This case completely shocked Hong Kong and anybody else who ever read about it. This case just doesn't sit right with me, especially with what they did after they killed her. They literally just dismembered her entire body and placed her head in a Hello Kitty doll. I feel so bad for her family, and may Fan Man Yi rest in peace.
Definitely saw something sticking out. I was like, what the heck? Can't believe they just put her whole body in a Hello Kitty doll, man. What does the world be coming to nowadays? It happened a while ago, but that's a bone-chilling story, Seekers. Truly, man. If you guys stayed with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, man. Like I said, we can stay connected. We can grow the seekers together, man. Also, like I said, follow me on my social medias down below, man, so we can all stay together, man. I really appreciate the support. Tell me how you guys liking these new past videos, man. I'm really uploading this my new layout and stuff for you guys. Always trying to improve the channel. Tell me what I can do better. I'm always looking to improve. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, man, and you guys don't know what we do, we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, man. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys, man, who's been tapping into the channel, supporting. I've been seeing you guys' feedback, man. On the last video, you guys said you could kind of hear my chair squeaking. So as you guys can see, I replaced it. Got a new chair, so no more of that squeaking noises, man. Found this video for you guys today, seekers. Let's do what we do best. Seek the truth.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Part 27. This photo shows an elderly couple doing the hokey pokey with a man named Dennis Rader, also known as the BTK Killer. He installed alarms for a living, and ironically, many clients booked his services to prevent him from entering their homes.
Whoa.
This photo shows Luchadora Juana Barraza. She was sold to a man for 3 beers by her mother until her stepdad found her at age 17. Over the years that followed, she would strangle and rob over 45 old women that reminded her of her abusive mom. The man in the background is Christopher Wilde, aka the Beauty Queen Killer. This picture was taken on June 15th, 1984, and Chris is scouting future victims at a beauty pageant. This photo shows John Edward Robinson holding a baby girl named Tiffany. Just 1 day before this photo was taken, he murdered the baby's mother and gave Tiffany to his brother, saying that she was adopted. His brother, along with Tiffany, didn't find out the truth for 15 years.
Those photos telling the truth.
Crawler. It was taken by a family who caught him in their home in 1974, but he escaped shortly afterwards.
What?
So in 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple weird things happening in their home. The 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain about seeing glowing eyes outside of her window at night. And then one night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump up onto his bed. But when he went to go pet it, it was not the dog. It was the Crawler, who police still believe was responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. Some believe that he was an escaped convict, while others actually believe that he was the victim of human experiments happening in the area that may have been conducted by the family's dad. Claire snapped this photo of him before he escaped, but he was never found since.
It sure looks like a human experiment. That's for sure. What do you guys think?
The man guilty of killing 8 people. 7 of those people were her family members, and 1 was a random stranger just minding his own business. For a total of 8 people dead in 3 separate locations.
3?
This happened in Joliet, Illinois. They thought all of these shootings were random at first, but one common thing was his red Toyota Camry with the same license plate at every single scene of the crime.
Targeted?
On Monday, officers announced that a manhunt was launched for Romeo Nance. They also put out a warning that he is armed and dangerous. However, later that night, the news definitely changed when they found this information out. Nance was spotted in Texas, over 1,200 miles away from Illinois. He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was also charged with aggravated discharge of a deadly weapon against a woman a few years ago also. But he got out on bond in 2023. Many residents in the area were frightened by this. They all also thought this was a random string of crimes as well. Very unfortunate story. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. To kill 8 people, mainly family members, is just absurd. Very unfortunate loss of life. And reminder, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Blood-curdling facts
what was the purpose?
You never knew. Part 22. In the 18th century, you could bring your cat or dog to the London Zoo and actually pay your admission by feeding it to the lions.
What?
Bus seats are specifically designed so you can't tell how dirty they really are. When an octopus reproduces, it removes its penis and throws it at the female so she can impregnate herself, and then he grows back another one. Oysters are actually alive when they're served. They don't die until you eat them. In Australia, there's a plant called the Gimbi Gimbi, which has such a severe sting that when horses brush up against it, they actually throw themselves off a cliff because they would rather die than experience the pain. Live chat support agents can see what you type before they send it so they can reply quicker.
What the?
Spider rain, yes, you heard me right, is a real and naturally occurring phenomenon.
What creeped you out the most? Yeah.
I get the fool's a carry, but you sweet about the heat of my little built heart.
What the fuck?
We need to talk about one of the...
We saw that, right? We all saw that sequence. There was something that flashed, but they ain't see. You always gotta double check your work, man.
worst accidents that ever happened on a horror film set, because I don't really see this moment talked about much. So this accident happened on the set of The Exorcist, which is already a movie that plenty of people think was cursed, hence why I did a whole episode about it. But in the movie, Linda Blair plays this little girl named Reagan who was possessed by a demon. And the way that the film shows you that she's possessed are by these contraptions that they built for her. This is one that makes her levitate, but there was also this one that made her thrash around. To use this device, Linda had to be sewn into a plank, that way her back was supported while it was thrashing around. And mind you, the people controlling this device were adult men, and Linda was a child. So during one take, Linda actually became untethered from this device, meaning that her back was no longer supported. And you can see it in this take, but watch as she starts crying after the director calls cut. That's because Linda had just broken her spine. The director and the other adults in the room all thought that she was acting up a storm when in fact her screams and cries were from her spine being fractured. Anyways, that's only one of the many wild things that happened on this set, so check out the episode for more.
That's some bad energy on that movie.
This is 6-year-old Corey Macholo from New Jersey. On March 20th of 2021, Corey and his father, Christopher Greger, were seen entering the Atlantic Heights Clubhouse Fitness Center. Corey was placed on a treadmill and began running. Footage from the clubhouse captured Christopher walking up to the treadmill, increasing the speed and raising the incline.
Why?
These sudden changes were too much for Corey's legs, which caused him to fall down multiple times and slide off of the treadmill. Christopher is then seen lifting Corey up from the ground and tossing him back onto the treadmill. This caused Corey's legs to fold backwards, and then Christopher is seen clamping his teeth onto Corey's head. On April 1st, after Corey had so many bruises on his body, his mom urged his father to take him to a pediatric appointment, and at this appointment, Corey revealed that his father made him get on that treadmill because he was too fat. The next day, after Corey woke up from a nap, he felt nauseated, he was slurring his words, and he was stumbling. That is when Christopher took Corey to the hospital. Corey's injuries were so severe he had suffered a seizure during his CT scan. That day, just before 5 p.m., Corey was pronounced dead. An autopsy was done and it revealed that the reason why Corey had died was because of blunt force injuries. This included acute inflammation and sepsis. Christopher was initially charged with child neglect after the treadmill video came to light. However, in September of 2021, a forensic pathologist had determined that Corey's death was a homicide. This was due to chronic child abuse, blunt force injuries to his chest and abdomen, and a laceration to his heart. On March 9, 2022, Christopher was arrested on murder charges connected to Corey's death. He turned down a 30-year plea deal and now faces life in prison if convicted.
Here are a few of the worst submechanophobia images I've ever seen. Part 3. This is apparently real. I don't know where it is. Apparently it's in Italy, or it looks like it's in Italy. I might be completely making that up. But here's it from another angle. Could you imagine swimming in a boat and seeing that? I don't know how deep it is underwater. I don't know if it's held up by pipes. I don't know if it's held up by scaffolding. I don't know if it's just the whole arm. I don't know if it's a whole sculpture. Terrifying.
It is. I wonder how deep in water that is, like what she said. Just seeing hands out of nowhere, that would freak anybody out.
This very strange video is circling the internet. It was supposed to be this very strange phenomena happening in the middle of the ocean. A couple of people inside of a boat captured it on camera. I'm going to show you guys the entire video.
Okay.
Some people are relating this to underwater volcanoes, but I'm not exactly sure if this is the case. I'm going to show you guys the video. You tell me what you think is going on here. Check this out.
What are we seeing? What the hell is that?
Pay attention. Look at the size of this thing.
That's what we're examining? Is that really an underwater volcano? It's just sprouting up? Why this ain't making national news or something? That's concerning.
What's going on here, guys? What is your take?
What do you guys think? Down below.
Let's talk about this picture. This is why if I ever have kids, I'll never let them use the bathroom alone. A 7-year-old girl and her mom were headed to Target, and she was getting some clothes for school.
Okay.
Her mom also wanted to grab some snacks for movie night. So while her mom went to go grab popcorn and other snacks, she told her daughter to go pick out clothes for school. When her daughter finally finished and picked out the clothes, she went up to her mom and said something strange happened. A sad pale lady had came up to her, telling her that she wished she could have her own daughter that looked just like her. The mom, who thought the daughter was just joking around, laughed it off and said, "Let's go." While heading to the register, the daughter shook her mom and said, "That's the lady who told me she wanted a daughter just like me," pointing at a mannequin. The mom laughed, thinking the daughter was still being silly. You know how kids have wild imaginations, always playing around. While at the register, the daughter had to go to the bathroom. So the mom told her to hurry up. It was only a couple hours down, by the way. While in the bathroom, the daughter texted the mom saying the pale lady's in here who wanted a daughter. The mom, trying to get in a rush back home to her other kids, said, "Hurry up, we have to go. Stop playing around." 10 minutes later, and the daughter never came out. The mother, who was waiting outside the bathroom at this time, rushes in the bathroom to see what the heck is going on. The daughter was nowhere to be found. She even checked the stalls to see if her daughter was hiding, standing on a toilet or something. On one of the stalls, she found her daughter's cell phone on the floor.
Ooh.
By the way, if you made it this far in the video, comment down below your favorite fruit. Mine is mangoes. When she checked her phone, this was the last image found in it. Police still to this day have no explanation on what happened to that little girl.
Did you guys know that
The hell
mermaids
happened?
exist? So this tall drink of water is a fisherman off the coast of Massachusetts. And on his travels, he likes to document the things that he sees out in the ocean.
Alright.
What he catches this night is irrefutable evidence of the existence of mermaids. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's not irrefutable evidence, it's just very strong evidence of the existence of mermaids. Check it out.
Let's keep an open mind.
We got another one over here. What are those?
Oh, we definitely see some swimming alongside him in the water.
What the fuck's going on?
Whoa.
On each side of the boat? What are those trails called? Something's swimming fast underneath that water. Something's swimming real fast underneath that water. I hear him. Where's he at? What the fuck is that noise, bro?
Is that the siren song they sing?
What is that noise? Where are you? This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it.
We hear that.
Oh my god. That's crazy. That's
Jump?
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time. Part 4. The Grinch has a well-known backstory about hating Christmas. However, eventually in the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story may continue longer than we think. It is clear that the Grinch isn't exactly right in the head, but during one of the Grinch's wacky stunts, he could have gotten a head injury. This injury would later take a toll on him as he grew old and caused him to lose his memory. After him and his dog died, they were given a new life in a realm called Halloween Town, where they now lived as Jack Skellington and Zero. He later reunites with his love for Christmas, just like he had when he was alive. Both eventually wear a Santa suit, both deliver presents, and both have a dog companion. It may be possible that How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Nightmare Before Christmas are tied together.
Are they connected? I never even thought about it like that before. Interesting theory. We definitely gonna have to check that out, man. They have some similarities. Can't lie. That's an edit. Call it like I said.
Mormon's pastor is being accused of unaliving his own wife. This case is currently ongoing, but it's been so highly suggested, so this is what we know so far. On April 28th, Pastor John Paul Miller made the shocking announcement at the end of his church service that his wife, Micah, had unalived herself. He then asked everyone to leave quietly and not discuss his wife's death. Micah's family and friends do not believe this cause of death and have taken to social media with the hashtag Justice for Micah. John Paul also wrote Micah's obituary where he talked mostly about himself, not even Micah, who was the one that passed away.
Very
he
weird.
also painted their marriage as like a perfect relationship, which is really odd considering that Micah filed for divorce and a restraining order against her husband only days before her passing. The weeks prior to Micah's passing, she was sharing on Facebook about abusive relationships and really just hinting that something wasn't right. A friend of Micah's has come out and confirmed that Micah told her that there was abuse in the marriage and also that church funds were being used for things not church related. And since more friends and family of Micah have come out with similar accounts. Also been some speculation that John Paul was having an affair, a years-long affair with this woman that he's been seen in the days before and the days after Micah's death. That woman's husband also passed away in a really suspicious way, but that's just online speculation for right now. The investigation is currently ongoing, so hopefully we have answers really, really soon. But in the meantime, make sure to leave all your thoughts, theories, questions, and case suggestions in the comments for me.
She went on Instagram Live and did something so evil that by the end of it, he took his own life. This is the worst thing an influencer has ever done, and I'm giving you the whole story. Hang on. 100,000 people tuned in to watch trans beauty influencer Sophia Talouni go live. Then she invited one of her fans to join and asked if he was gay. And in Morocco, being gay is very dangerous. He said no. Then she showed screenshots of him on Grindr, a dating app for gay men. She said if he doesn't recognize himself, she would show more revealing pictures. So he said he was gay and quit the live. Then she told everyone on the live to download Grindr and look for their sons and husband. And men began disappearing. They were beaten up by their families, and at least 2 people, including this young man, took their own life. But isn't Sophia trans? Her family rejected her, and she wants others to experience it too. Instagram deleted her account, but she was never punished in any other way.
That's a messed up story.
Imagine living with a dead body for 5 months. It was March 2011 in Penwortham in Lancashire. Police received a very strange anonymous tip-off which led them to a local house in the area. There they discovered 54-year-old former lorry driver Guy Blackburn lying deceased in a bed. The man was taken away from the property to undergo a post-mortem. It was clear, however, that he'd been dead for a very long period of time. Now, Guy had been living at the property for a long time, but his health had recently been worsening. He became so unwell that he was unable to leave the property at all. Neighbours got worried about Guy after they hadn't seen him in a few months. Guy was living with his son, 28-year-old Christopher. Now, Christopher was actually a dad to a 10-year-old daughter of his own. Christopher had told his daughter that her granddad was simply asleep. Neighbours would ask Christopher how his dad was, to which he replied, yeah, he's fine. However, they began to get suspicious. The post-mortem came back and confirmed that Guy had actually passed away due to heavy drinking and heavy smoking.
What the
He'd been deceased since around November 2010. Christopher admitted to living in the house with his dad's dead body. He said he did this in order to claim benefits. He claimed income support and was withdrawing money out of his dead dad's bank account. By the time he was caught, he had claimed nearly £2,000. He admitted to preventing the lawful burial of his dad and stealing money, and he was jailed for 3 years.
Why aren't more people
Just for
talking
money,
about
man.
the huge updates
Evil.
in the Laken Riley case, y'all? Check this out. Clark County Sheriff's Office released the mugshot of this guy, Jose Antonio Ibarra. He's a 26-year-old guy that's being held on charges in the red room of this girl right here, 22-year-old Laken Riley. And in case you don't know, she was a nursing student in Georgia, and her body was actually discovered in like a forested area behind Lake Herrick. One of the craziest parts about this case too is that there appears to be no motive. And Jose here apparently didn't even know Laken at all, which is really scary because investigators are saying that it looks like it was just a crime of opportunity. And it doesn't stop there. Apparently Jose isn't a U.S. citizen, and he never even attended the University of Georgia. And if you thought I was done there, you'd still be mistaken, because apparently his brother here, Diego, was arrested for having a fake green card. Diego here says he is too afraid to return to Venezuela, so the Department of Justice is actually keeping him in state custody, and he's awaiting an asylum hearing. Y'all, this case is crazy as hell. Leave a like, follow if you like true crime, and leave some comments. Y'all, let me know what you think about this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Some twists and turns, man.
What are you doing, Dad? Dad, what are you doing?
So just like the caption says, that girl gets locked in the basement by her father. That father does so many sick and twisted things to his daughter that you would never believe that this was actually based on a true story.
Come again?
That movie is called A Girl in the Basement, and it's available right now at mylifetime.com/watchripped, so go ahead and watch it. It's so disturbing, but it's such a great movie that you need to watch it. Thank you, Lifetime, for sponsoring this video.
You guys gonna check that out? Those crime movies, man. All this media and stuff we're watching, they're based on true stories. We just gotta open our eyes to it and pay attention.
This woman laid on a couch for 12 years until she was basically melted to it. So have you ever heard of Lacey Fletcher? Lacey's parents were Sheila and Clay Fletcher. They moved to Slaughter, Louisiana about 28 years ago. As soon as they moved to Louisiana, Lacey became involved in her school. She was making friends with all the neighbor kids. She liked to go outside and play. She even joined the volleyball team and seemed like the typical teenager.
Okay.
Lacey was described by her peers as highly intelligent, but a little bit immature for her age. Lacey really enjoyed things that her peers thought of as childish. But she was still very smart and very outgoing, but not much else is known about Lacey. At the age of 14, Lacey's parents decided to homeschool her, and that's when she just kind of disappeared from the public. Her friends from school and the neighbor kids just stopped seeing her come out as much as she used to. And it kind of seemed like Sheila and Clay were the reason that Lacey was being so isolated. They were the reason that she no longer went out into public. She was able to have a birthday party when she turned 18 years old, and she invited all of her school friends and just friends to come watch Disney movies, but at this point, these kids were 18 years old. They didn't want to sit around and watch Disney movies with her. The last time Lacey was seen in public was by her neighbor in 2007.
Damn.
This neighbor thought that Lacey looked very thin, but he just figured that she was exercising because she was using those weights that you can put around your ankles to walk around. And then Lacey is not ever seen again in public. In 2017, the neighbor did ask about Lacey, figuring that she had either gotten married or moved on, gone to college, or done something else with her life. But Clay told him that Lacey was still there, she was still at home. But the neighbor didn't press further. He didn't question why he didn't see her. He just kind of let things be.
Okay.
Then on January 3rd of 2022 at about 2 in the morning, there is a 911 call received from Sheila. Sheila says that her daughter has stopped breathing. When emergency services arrived, they realized that there was something very wrong with the situation. Lacey was laying on the couch and it almost seemed like she had melted to it. She had all kinds of sores that had been opened all the way down to the bone. Her hair was knotted up and there were maggots crawling around in it. And emergency services could tell that Lacey had been laying there for a very, very long time. There were feces and there was urine all over the couch.
Things humans were never meant to see.
The hell are they doing to her, man?
Man transforms into real werewolf.
We believe in werewolves, or is this just gonna be a edit? Go. I think this would be all over the internet, or if you've seen a real werewolf. If this turns out to be legit. Okay, we know this is Etta, right? Every single time he changes, it's like we can't see his face though. That's a high freaking quality edit. His name is Josh Rushing? Yeah, that's an edit.
As you can see, less than 2 minutes after moonrise, full transformation is achieved.
No, it ain't.
No human responses were elicited from the subject. However, he remained mostly calm throughout the night, growling only when approached. He seemed more afraid of us than we were of him.
This is Funky Town, one of the worst cartel execution videos explained. Okay, before I begin, this is a massive trigger warning. The video begins in some sort of room and there is music playing. The first song that plays is Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, and the camera pans to the victim tied on the floor with some plastic wire, but the torture already began before the video starts. Because the victim looks like he already went through complete brutality. His hands have already been cut off and his face has been completely flayed, which means skinned. There is no skin on the victim's face at all, and his eyes have been gouged out. And there's an insane amount of blood on the floor. But the most messed up part about this is that the victim is hooked up to some sort of IV, and the IV is pumping him with drugs to keep him alive and aware, making sure he felt everything happening to him. At the start of the video, they try and slit his throat with a sickle and press it against his jaw. But when the victim begins to scream, they shove a box cutter in his mouth to shut him up. His screams are absolutely gut-turning. They kept going from screaming to gurgling, from screaming to gurgling. And as the video progresses, they take the box cutter and slit his throat about 40 times. And keep in mind, the victim is still alive and aware of everything because of the drugs they are giving him to keep him alive. Also, the killers are mocking and laughing at the victim the entire time. They continue to try and slit his throat with the box cutter and were going at his neck numerous times, all while the song Funky Town was playing in the background, hence the name of the video. The killers kept having to physically restrain the victim, meaning there was still a lot of life left in him, and the amount of pain he had to be in is completely unimaginable. At one point in the video, a man had his foot on his chest holding him down, and another time they had shoved a pole in his mouth holding him in place. But the worst part about the video is towards the end, where the victim manages to loosen his arms from the restraints and immediately tries to touch his face. But remember, the victim has no face at all, no hands, and no eyes. But instinctively, the victim still tries to touch his face. It's absolutely horrifying, and the video then concludes. Keep in mind, the victim was still alive when the video ended, so who knows what else they did to him before he died. Because they were literally keeping him alive just to torture him. This victim went through so much pain and torment, and you can make an argument that nobody has ever been tortured as bad as this guy ever. I explain this based off pure memory from the first time I saw the video, because I won't dare watch it again because it's that gruesome. Everybody who saw videos like this always say Funky Town is the worst of the worst. And I honestly think that might be true, so please don't watch it and please don't search it up.
Crazy video, man. That Funky Town video he's talking about, saying he only watched it once because he wouldn't dare watch it again. And that's all he said. That was a pure memory, seekers. How much it was freaking embedded into his mind. You had to take his word for it. It's crazy. You guys, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today, man. If you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure to follow me on all my social medias, man, so we can stay connected. We could grow the seekers, grow these communities together. So links are in the description down below. Make sure you guys check it out. We're grinding, man. We're gonna be uploading every single day, man. That's what I've been doing, and I plan to continue to do just that. You guys gonna catch in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, seekers. What's up, seekers? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, man. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. As you guys can see, man, we're gonna be checking out some creepy TikTok videos for you guys today, man. Doing what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
So are we about to witness and hopefully live through a world-ending geomagnetic storm? And will it be a repeat of the Carrington event? Welcome back to the Hard Pill Show. I'm your host, Pharaoh, and in this video we're going to talk about how this current geomagnetic storm could have bad implications.
Alright.
Now let me start out that this will most likely just be a loss of phone signal and pretty lights in the sky event. But let's get into why this can be something scary. So yesterday, Thursday the 9th, and today, Friday the 10th, there have been many corona mass ejections from the sun. NOAA released a statement and a warning stating at least 2 X-class, which are the largest solar flares, were observed releasing from 2 massive sunspots in the sun, along with several M-class. Now, these are CMEs, or corona mass ejections, and there was another X-class release this morning, Friday the 10th. That CME from this morning is supposed to catch up with the other 5 from yesterday, right as they impact Earth. It's all scary stuff, and what has people up in arms and concerned about this is the last time something like this happened, the Carrington event occurred. The Carrington event was known as the most destructive CME, and it happened on September 1st, 1859. It was so intense that it created such bright auroras in the sky, you know, the northern lights, that some gold miners in the Rockies woke up thinking that it was morning. But the reason why this event was documented and is such a callback point to future destructive potential of the sun is the fact that the potential EMP that was created by the sun during this event fried all the telegraph poles and systems. Now, at that time, that was the means of communication across long distance, and was also really all the electronics that the world really had. So the concern today, in today's world, is if that kind of event occurred again, which is the concern with this current, geostorm, with how heavily our modern world is dependent on electronics for communication, for transportation, for food, for survival, then we would be thrown back thousands of years as a humankind because we depend so heavily on electronics. So, yeah, but most likely we'll just lose phone signal and have pretty lights in the sky. Good times. Friday.
What do you guys think, man? That video, man, just shows us how much we dependent on, man, technology. And if it's just can get taken out like that, we all discombobulated. We're all over the place, man. I'm surprised this geostorm, like these facts, hasn't been on the news or something so people could prepare. Wonder why that is.
8 o'clock Eastern time, it is an important update. The geomagnetic storm has just reached Category 5, a G5 with a K index of 9. It's the strongest geomagnetic storm in 20 years.
Damn.
What you're looking at right here, if I get off out of the way, is the actual auroral oval right now. It's all the way down to the central United States. You can see it right there. And that's almost down, as a matter of fact, as far south as St. Louis and Washington, D.C. I mean, really amazing. Now, it has to be clear, and of course it's getting dark right now, but definitely head away from city lights, look to the north tonight. This could be one of your few chances in your lifetime at these latitudes to be able to see the aurora borealis, but get to dark skies. This map actually confirms what we saw just a moment ago. This is typically what you'd see. Down to the red line is where you'd be able to see an aurora when you have a G5 storm like this, which extends from, around Norfolk, Virginia, westward to Northern California. And you can see it, just amazingly how far south it is compared to normal. I mean, if it's just a regular geomagnetic storm, it would be all the way up here in the northern tier of the United States to northern Maine, and it's nowhere like that. So definitely try to get out tonight, look to the north. Yeah, there will be some communication problems and things like that, but let's concentrate on the aurora right now because that's the fun part of these geomagnetic storms. Good luck tonight.
The strongest
Really?
solar storm to strike Earth since 2005 is on its way tonight. Because of that, NOAA did issue a geomagnetic storm watch for the planet Earth. This is due to a G4 class solar storm, which is severe on the scale. Now, some of the effects that we might see from this tonight are possible voltage issues to the power grid up north. Disruptions are possible to satellite navigation as well. And auroras could be possible all the way down to the Gulf Coast tonight, especially on the horizon. If you want to have a good shot at seeing this, you are going to have to get out of areas of light pollution and also use a camera as well to see it best on the horizon. Now, if you really want to see it tonight, you're going to have to go north up into places like South Dakota, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, and especially up into Canada.
Really?
If you guys haven't heard yet, there's signal issues going on. There's a geostorm affecting everybody. It doesn't matter if you're on RTK WAS, Trimble, Egg Leader, Deer. Everything's getting knocked out. A couple of geese here.
Even the geese getting affected.
If you guys have questions, you can call us, but I'm sure everyone's being affected, so I just wanted to let everybody know.
The thing that's getting to me is, man, we haven't been seeing this like on the news and stuff, man. It's like the geomagnetic storms and stuff. Everybody just they're focusing on the lights, but they just like kind of ignoring the possibilities of what could happen. That's concerning. These geomagnetic storms. When I looked up, I'm about to say I looked up in the sky at night and I ain't seen no aurora lights. Now that's a rare opportunity. Maybe you guys saw, because we all over the place now. I've been seeing from the comments. So tell me if you guys been affected by this G5 storm. Whoa. Another one?
Hey guys, they are forecasting that we will see some additional geomagnetic activity about midday today, May 12th. So they are forecasting that it'll be somewhere between the G4 to G5 severe status. So be on the lookout, guys.
This geostorm, man. It's affecting it. It's affecting everything, bro. That's why I'm top 10 with the TikToks, man. I would have never known. But has it been on the news or something, man? I'm glad for our community seekers. It keeps me tapped in.
They had a machine that was used to control the weather. Then somehow the machine got hacked and it started malfunctioning. And it started controlling the weather on its own will. And it started killing people. So they had to destroy the machine because they had got hacked and started malfunctioning, being out of control.
And there's a movie called Geostorm. Is that a sign? Is there any correlation between those two? Any similarities? Hey, man. Nowadays, you never know. That Geostorm, like I said, that was a movie that came out, and we guys been, these videos, you've been seeing how these movies and stuff, they're based off like true events. Sometimes even these fictional movies behind the scenes, man, like every movie, every piece of media you see, man, it comes from a true story somewhere around the world. What do you guys think? If you guys made it with me to the end, you guys are real ones supporting the channels. I really appreciate that, man. You're a true seeker. So thank you, man. Like I said, guys, if you guys want to stay tapped in with the community with us, man, follow me on all my social medias down below. I'm really trying to get my numbers up on there as well. So I greatly appreciate your support, just so we can, stay in contact with each other and we can grow and we can share what we find together. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, seekers. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos on and on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the supporters, man, who's been subscribing to the channel, hitting that post notification bell, hitting that like button, man. You're helping us grow the seekers. I really appreciate the support, man. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
Did you know that there's a disturbing backstory to this children's book?
Mm.
This is Eric and Corey Richens, and they live together with their 3 young children in Utah. Eric had a renovation business, and Corey was a real estate agent. On March 4th of 2022, around 3:22 a.m., Corey called 911 after walking into her room, and according to her, she saw Eric lying on the ground, and he just wouldn't hold him touch. Once officers and paramedics arrived at the scene, and they did pronounce him dead. Corey stated that that night she made a vodka drink for her husband to celebrate that she had sold a house. She then stated she went to go lay down with one of her children in their room because they were having nightmares, and she returned to her and her husband's room around 3 a.m., and that's when she found Eric on the floor. An autopsy was done on Eric, and it revealed that he died after ingesting 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl.
Damn.
Not long after Eric's death, Corey had published a children's book called Are You With Me? And this was catered towards children who were grieving after losing one of their parents. Investigators ended up looking through Corey's phone, and that's when they saw text messages between her and another person buying drugs for them to poison Eric. This was not the first time that Corey tried to poison Eric, just the other times she just did not succeed.
What?
Supposedly Eric wanted a divorce from Corey, and just a few weeks before his death, he has changed his will and life insurance policy. Eric had told his family many times, if something happens to me, it's my wife's fault. Corey was arrested and is currently sitting in jail waiting on trial.
The story that just continues to keep me up at night is what happened to the Yuba County Five. 1978, there were 5 men that were coming from a basketball game in Chico back down to Yuba City in the middle of the night. Now, all 5 of the men suffered from mild intellectual and psychological disability. Never gonna know why they did this, but for some reason, when they were on the highway, they got off of the highway and went onto a dirt back road in the Plumas National Forest. You know, is that for whatever reason, they eventually got out of their car and started walking on foot. They vanished. Police eventually found that car and they expected something's wrong with this. Not the case. The car had gas and it was working fine, so why did they get out of it and walk through the woods? Nobody knew what happened to them until eventually somebody stumbled into this cabin. Quick before I get into it, if you want the full episode on this, you can listen to it on Creep Time, the podcast. Inside that cabin was the body of Ted Wire, and he had lost 80 pounds. Didn't make any sense because the cabin was full of food. Eventually they found everyone's body except for Gary Mathias.
This 74-year-old woman.
What the hell happened, man? Like they said, they just went on a dirt back road and just started walking. And they just found him in a cabin? Something more to that case, man, that we didn't know about. I have to deep dive into that one.
Woman robbed a bank after she was scammed of her life savings. This all happened in Ohio when Anna Mayers walked inside a credit union with a face mask on and demanded that the bank teller give her money while she threatened them with a gun. She ended up only taking $500 and then she got in her car and drove off. It only took police 2 hours to find Anne in her home, and when they arrived, she was gardening and pretended like she had no idea what was going on. She eventually admitted to the crime, and it turns out that Anne was recently scammed out of thousands of dollars online and owed a lot of money to family and friends. And because of that, she became pretty desperate and felt like her only way out of this mess was to rob a bank and thought that she would get away with it. Her sister also told police that Anne was going around telling family members that she was going to do this, but everyone thought that she was only joking. She was charged with aggravated robbery with a firearm and tampering with evidence and is being held on a $100,000 bond.
The UK's heaviest man, Jason Holton, has just passed away 1 week before his 34th birthday. His heartbroken mother said that he began overeating as a teenager after his father passed away, and at one point he was eating roughly 10,000 calories a day. Over the years, his weight increased to the point where his legs could no longer hold him, and after becoming bedridden, he didn't leave his room for a staggering 6 months. He said he would cry every day because he felt like he had imprisoned himself. At that point, he weighed around 317 kg, or for those who in the US, 700 pounds. In 2020, his organs began to shut down, and he had to be airlifted by a crane from his mother's 3rd floor flat by a team of more than 30 firemen and engineers. When he got to the hospital, doctors said that they wanted to send him to London Zoo to get a heart scan because the only machine big enough to hold him was used by vets for very large animals. Luckily, thanks to his treatment at hospital, his condition began to stabilize. But 4 years later, he was rushed to hospital yet again. But this time, doctors said that they couldn't save him, and he had about a week left left to live. The coroner's report stated on Tuesday he died from organ failure and obesity at only 33 years old.
Man, he was young. I can't believe you said it took like a team of that many people just to get him down with that crane. That's insane, man. Be careful what you eat.
This woman got 0 prison time after stabbing her boyfriend 108 times. In 2018, 26-year-old Chad O'Melia's life was savagely taken in his apartment in California by his girlfriend. 33-year-old Bryn Spetcher says that on this day, she was tricked by Chad into smoking a highly potent strain of marijuana, which caused her to go into psychosis. She says that she remembers immediately walking into the kitchen and grabbing several knives and stabbed her dog before going after Chad and taking his life. Bryn then turned the knife on herself and attempted to take her own life before police arrived. And authorities also said that it wasn't easy restraining Bryn and that the taser didn't even work on her. Now, Bryn's defense argues that she reacted this way because she only smoked less than 6 times in her life, which that combined with the high potent marijuana explains why she took her boyfriend's life. Bryn ended up only receiving just 2 years of probation, 100 hours of community service, and no prison time.
This pastor...
That case, man, is freaking dangerous, man, because it kind of set a precedent, man, if somebody didn't, you know, take that type of, you know, material before or something like that, something happens, they just don't have no freaking responsibility to it, man. That's why I said, just stay away from those type of things, seekers, because, you know, like drinking and doing that, man, activity, it could change it. It could change it to a whole different person. That's why me personally, I try to stay away from that stuff as much as I can, because that just ain't me.
Being accused of unaliving his own wife. This case is currently ongoing, but it's been so highly suggested, so this is what we know so far. On April 28th, Pastor John Paul Miller made the shocking announcement at the end of his church service that his wife, Micah, had unalived herself. He then asked everyone to leave quietly and not discuss his wife's death. Micah's family and friends do not believe this cause of death and have taken to social media with the hashtag Justice for Micah. John Paul also wrote Micah's obituary, where he talked mostly about himself, not even Micah, who was the one that passed away. He also painted their marriage as like a perfect relationship, which is really odd considering that Micah filed for divorce and a restraining order against her husband only days before her passing. The weeks prior to Micah's passing, she was sharing on Facebook about abusive relationships and really just hinting that something wasn't right. A friend of Micah's has come out and confirmed that Micah told her that there was abuse in the marriage, and also that church funds were being used for things not church related. And since, more friends and family of Micah have come out with similar accounts. Also been some speculation that John Paul was having an affair, a years-long affair with this woman that he's been seen in the days before and the days after Micah's death. That woman's husband also passed away in a really suspicious way, but that's just online speculation for right now. The investigation is currently ongoing, so hopefully we have answers really soon. But in the meantime, make sure to leave all your thoughts, theories, questions, and case suggestions in the comments for me.
The FBI caught a serial killer whose goal was to become a beast or an animal, specifically a bear/saber-toothed tiger hybrid. He had built himself a beast suit that he was using to maul his victims. When the FBI was originally looking at the bodies of the deceased, they thought it was a regular animal mauling. However, they soon realized it was fossilized skulls that were making these impressions. This led them to investigate Randall Tier, a man who was working at an anthropology department at a museum. He engineered the suit himself at his house, and he used parts of bones that he was stealing from his museum job. However, Randall Tier is also a victim in this situation, because when he was younger, he was seeing a psychiatrist for these urges that he was having to become a beast, but his psychiatrist was none other than Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter is far from an ethical psychiatrist and actually used psychic driving to make Randall Tier become the beast that he is today. He actively encouraged Randall's urges to become a beast and even gave him ideas on how to do this and how to be sneaky about it. And that's another reason why Hannibal Lecter is so evil, and I make this point all the time. Because Hannibal Lecter is not just a serial killer, he's not just eating people people. He is actively incubating other serial killers as his career goes on as a psychiatrist.
How far would you go to get more guac at Chipotle? Because this man shot an employee at Chipotle over his serving size. On April 5th, 32-year-old Aaron Brown walked into a Chipotle in Southfield, Michigan to order some food and then insulted an employee when he wasn't served enough guac. Aaron was then seen on surveillance video going around the counter and packing his order with more guac until a worker knocked the guac out of his hand. That's when Aaron grabbed the 21-year-old worker and slammed him into the fridge and shot him in the knee. And while all the customers were terrified and ran out the restaurant, Aaron was seen calmly collecting his food and drove off without speeding. But Aaron didn't even make it too far, since this Chipotle was located across the street from the police station, and he was arrested. He was charged and was being held in the Oakland County Jail on a $20,000 bond. And all for some guac.
For some guac? Really? People need to really think their priorities, man. When I be hearing cases like that, like over these small items, it really makes you think how like people just over exaggerate over the smallest things, man. Always amazes me, bro. Over some damn guac? Really? You can just ask for extra, man? Let's edit. Call it out like I see it. Damn, teleconnected too.
Do you think that you would be able to predict if someone in your life is or could become a serial killer? Is there a trait that they all have in common? Is there a recipe that creates a serial killer? Are they born evil? Is it a product of their environment? Some experts believe that there is a recipe, the McDonald's triad, which are 3 elements that are the key to predict if someone will grow up to become a serial killer. Being cruel to animals, setting things on fire, and wetting the bed after the age of 5. Many experts also say that a serial killer's childhood holds the key and believe that nearly 100% of serial killers experience some kind of mistreatment in their childhood. I find really interesting because some of the most infamous serial killers, Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Paul Bernardo, all claim to have come from really loving childhoods. Turns out that head trauma in adolescence could also be a big factor. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, David Berkowitz, son of Sam, and Fred West, and many others all experienced some kind of extreme head trauma in their adolescence that resulted in a change of behavior. So it's pretty well known that the majority of serial killers are white men between the ages of 25 and 34, but did you know a majority of serial killers are from the United States? By like a ridiculous majority. These statistics are so scary. For my astrology girlies, most serial killers are either Virgos or Geminis. New York is the state with the most serial killers, and most serial killers are born in November than any other month. Statistically, you are more likely to become a serial killer if you're the eldest child, and the least likely if you are an only child. Also more likely to become a serial killer if you are left-handed. What do you think makes a serial killer? Do you think it's genetics or a bad childhood, or just because they are left-handed? And is there anyone in your life that maybe you're looking at a little bit differently now? Let me know in the comments.
Maybe it's a combination of all of them.
So if you didn't know, this woman's name is Brianna Williams, and what you just watched was her reaction to finding out that the police had discovered her sinister secret. So back in early November of 2019, Brianna contacts the police in order to report her 5-year-old daughter, Taylor Williams, missing, stating that she had seen her the night before, but in the morning, she was gone. Taylor's disappearance sent shockwaves through the community, and people quickly began looking for her, but she was nowhere to be found. However, weeks into the investigation, doubts began to surface as detectives realized Brianna's story just doesn't make sense. Then, all of a sudden, Taylor's remains are found 400 miles away from her house, with investigators ruling that her cause of death was starvation, meaning Brianna had unalived her. At this point, Brianna knows that the police had figured out what she had done, so she tries to unalive herself, but this fails and she gets arrested. In court, Brianna is found guilty of Taylor's death and is sentenced to a well-deserved life in prison. Brianna's story shows that you cannot escape justice and that karma will always catch up to you.
Missing American and Australian surfers were just found dead in a well in Mexico. Behind me is Callum and Jake Robinson and Jack Rode. They were missing for about a week, and then they were found dead in a well in Ensenada, Mexico. They all disappeared on April 28th. They were last seen in Baja California surfing. One of the family members got worried because one of the men were a type 1 diabetic and he hadn't communicated for a while, which was out of character for him. Then on Saturday, May 4th, all of the men were found inside of a well, and a fourth man was also found, but he was unrelated to these three. Apparently, the fourth random man's body had been there for a long time, so I'm assuming this is kind of a reoccurring thing that was happening. They were killing people and stuffing them in the well here. Police believe these men were killed by thieves trying to steal things from their trucks, such as tires, catalytic converters, stuff like that. All three men were fatally shot and dumped inside of the well. And 3 men in connection with his death have been arrested. Names have not been released yet. And apparently this well was boarded up, making it nearly impossible to find. Let me know what you guys think about the story in the comment section below. And as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
I've been hearing like things, man, about like tourists, how they gotta be careful, you know, when you go out to different countries, especially because you never know what could happen, man. Somebody's watching you, they know you coming from a different place, and they just straight targeted you, and look what happened, man. There were some surfers just trying to go out for a good time, and a tragic ending, man. Gotta be careful nowadays, seekers. Sad but true. Edit.
Warning, viewer discretion is advised. In April 2015, Shayna Sims arrived at a funeral home posing as a makeup artist. A 38-year-old woman called Tabitha had recently passed from natural causes, and Shayna was there to work on the body. While she was there, instead of making the body look presentable for her funeral, Shayna carved off one of Tabitha's breasts and cut off one of her toes. She tore clumps of Tabitha's hair out, smeared her makeup, and then slashed her face. She even stole the shoes off Tabitha's feet before leaving. The attack was discovered by 2 horrified members of the funeral home who raced to tell the manager about what they had found. The police later arrested Shayna, and she was found with a folding knife with strands of Tabitha's hair still attached to it, as well as a pair of scissors, a box cutter, and various makeup items. During the trial, it was revealed that Shayna had snapped after learning that her husband was apparently having an affair with Tabitha. Seething with anger, she took brutal revenge on her love rival, and was found guilty of eating a body, interrupting a funeral, and unlawful removal of a body part from a deceased person. Shayna Sims was sentenced to 16 years in prison, but was released after only serving 4.
Update, James ruining the vacations with her TikToks.
That was the last TikTok ever posted by TikToker Anthony Barajas, aka Anthony Michael. On July 26, 2021, Anthony and his friend Riley were seeing a movie. On that evening, they were seeing the ironically violent film The Forever Purge, which itself is a critique on American violence. On that day, the two of them were just sitting inside of the theater enjoying the film when suddenly they were both shot in the back of the head. Now, sadly, Riley Goodrich, who was 18 at the time, would die at the scene, but Anthony, who was 19 at the time, was taken to a hospital but passed away a few days later. But why did this happen? Well, it's not a very clear story. So this is Joseph Jimenez, and he was actually arrested the day after the murder. He was the guy who pulled the trigger. Now, Joseph's friends were actually in the movie theater. There were only 6 people in the theater at the time. And they said that during the movie, Joseph was acting strange. He was mumbling to himself, and at one point he left the theater and came back in with some sort of a package. Joseph's friends then left the theater because they were afraid of what he might do, and a few moments later they saw Joseph running out of the side door, getting into his vehicle and speeding away. So it turns out that Joseph had just randomly decided to murder Riley and Anthony. There was no motivation, he didn't know these two, he just decided he had to kill somebody. And strangely, their bodies weren't discovered until after the movie was over, because there was only 6 people in the theater, including Joseph, his 3 friends, and these 2. So according to Joseph, he was hearing voices that were saying his friends and family were going to be killed if he didn't take a life. He also stated that he wished he didn't do it, but unfortunately, you can't take back an action like that. It's just chilling that even just sitting in a movie theater, an act of violence like this can strike you. And obviously, rest in peace to Riley and Anthony. This is such a tragic story.
The reason that I felt Von was a serial killer, because I've come across people that have killed a lot of people in gang wars before. You know, I did the video about No Limit, G Herbo's crew. There's a guy called Mad Max that, you know, they say he had 9 or 10 bodies, right? But I think, for me, where I felt he became a serial killer was you got these multiple murders. There's more than 3 murders, and they're more than a month apart. Some of them are years apart. It was really like, when he became famous, the personal gratification that he seemed to get out of killing, I would say he was responsible for the murder of FBG Duck. In a way that he felt responsible. He tweeted a go emoji like minutes after Duck was killed. You know, he got a lot of personal gratification out of these killings. I think he wanted to continue these killings. He wanted the whole world to know. I wish I'd have thought of this when I made the documentary. I've only thought of it after, but I feel like Von, I feel like he's the closest I could describe him to a traditional serial killer is the Zodiac Killer. Because Von killed all these people, he became famous, he wanted everyone to know that he killed all these people. You know, you ain't a killer if you only got 2 bodies. Like, talk about bodies, I got 2, 4 plus 3, 3 plus 2. Like, Von wanted the whole world to know that he was killing. He was putting out these codes. He was getting this personal gratification from killing, and he still wanted to kill. He wanted to have Duck killed. He wanted to have Man killed. There was a supposed rumored body in Atlanta. Now, I kind of disproved that in the video, but it's like, he wanted people to know he was a killer. I think he was more interested in getting people killed than rapping.
I heard about that. I've seen some videos on there how I seen King Von was really like that, bro. I know like he had that different side to him, man. Might have to check out a video or two. What do you guys think? Believe that about King Von?
Here's what Baby Reindeer didn't tell you. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past few weeks, you will probably have heard of Baby Reindeer. It's a new series on Netflix, which is a harrowing account of abuse and stalking. Now, it's told by the actual victim in this case, who plays himself. However, there are a few things that have been missed out. Now, Richard Gadd, as I said, was the victim in this case and told the story by playing himself. But Richard was actually a lot more successful than he gave himself credit for in the drama. He featured as an actor on Outlander and Click, and he also more recently co-wrote an episode of Sex Education. Obviously, we know Martha's real name and identity were left out of the series. Richard also intentionally changed elements of her character. He said that he wanted to change bits of her life, as well as obviously using a different name for her in the series, so that she wouldn't be hounded in real life. He actually wanted to prevent people from harassing the real stalker. Another element that was left out of the story were exactly how many messages his stalker left for him. Now, Richard has since stated that there were over 41,000 emails, 744 tweets, and 46 Facebook messages from 4 different Facebook accounts. He stated that the total length of all of the voicemails that the real Martha left for him totaled over 350 hours. She also sent him 106 pages of actual physical letters, which we never saw in the series. Richard stated that not only did his stalker send him emails, Facebook messages, and tweets, she actually also sent him physical gifts. These gifts included an actual baby reindeer toy as a present, and she also sent him sleeping tablets and boxers.
Another true crime story of how they were caught. Lee Hartley, a lieutenant in the Navy, was on a carrier warship when he started feeling ill. Started having stomach cramps and vomiting. He would get better, but then get sick again. And it got so bad, he had to get flown out to Florida, where he later died in the hospital. A savvy doctor noticed that all his organs had been so damaged that he suspected there might be heavy metal poisoning, and he requested that at an autopsy. Because of that doctor, they tested for possible poisons, and they found that there was arsenic in his system. Now police had to look at 4,000 possible suspects aboard the ship. Police scoured all over the ship but couldn't find the source of the arsenic. Police were also able to learn that while he was in Spain 3 months before his death, he was also feeling ill, along with another shipmate. Police also found out when the ship stopped in Spain, his wife had actually flown out to meet with him for 8 days. She had cooked both men breakfast before they fell ill. Police interviewed his wife Pamela, and she denied involvement and would pass a polygraph test, and the case would go cold for 13 years. Then in 1995, police reopened the investigation and started interviewing people close to the family. Police interviewed Pam's brother, who actually said she had recruited him to try to kill her husband, but he refused. Arsenic is retained in the fingernails and hair of victims longer, so forensics were able to look at a strand of his hair to get a timeline of when he ingested the arsenic and how long he'd been exposed to it. Police determined that his wife Pamela sent him care packages when he was on deployment, and through those hair samples learned that he first got ill just a few weeks when he was on his deployment. He was then sick in Spain when his wife was there. Police believe the victim consumed baked goods from his wife while he was on ship, and he continued to fall ill before he was hospitalized. Police also noted that Pam visited him in the hospital in Florida, and the arsenic samples spiked yet again while she was there with him. Police interrogated Pamela and confronted her with the evidence and information, and she quickly confessed. She told police she loved her husband so much she didn't want to break his heart by getting a divorce. What's crazy is she was charged with second-degree murder, would get a 40-year sentence, but would be released after 16 years. But that was how she was caught.
Crazy, man. These people, they just can't lead the relationships. If like both of them being alive or something like that, it's like, bro, somebody wants to end a relationship, they always have to do the unthinkable, man, to end it all. Because she said she don't want to break his heart. But look what happened. These cases seekers, man. We learn more and more each and every single day. If you guys stay with me to the end of the video, if you're a truth seeker seeking the truth, I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, if you guys want me to react to other different TikTok clips, man, like I said, guys, follow me on my social medias, and you guys can send me the clips in my DM so I can incorporate them into the next video, man. If you guys want me to check out some more stuff, like I said, I'm also working on making a Discord, man, but it's more complicated than I thought, but I'm trying to work through it. So at least if you guys don't want to send me it on my social medias, I can make up the Discord and you guys can send it there. But we're growing seekers. Really appreciate the support, man. We're gonna keep going. Been uploading daily this whole month, man. So we need it. I want to see some clapping emojis in the comment section down below, man. So you guys support. You guys gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, seekers. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on and there, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebooks, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys, man, who's been subscribing to the channel, hitting that post notification bell, hitting that like button, man. You guys are growing our community together. I really appreciate that, man. That's what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
This 16-year-old was sentenced to 50 years in prison, and you won't believe what he did. In 2022, Noah Nay shot a 5-year-old girl in the neck and shoulder in Oklahoma. This teen, who I swear looks like a 9-year-old, was riding in a stolen car and purposely shot inside a home where the little girl was playing. But again, this was no accident. No one did this for a gang initiation. Luckily, the little girl survived, but had the bullet hit a spot an inch away, she would have definitely died. Noah was arrested, but not long after, he escaped the juvenile detention center by jumping a fence. He was found 4 days later, but when he was put back into the detention center, he repeatedly assaulted staff. Noah was sentenced as an adult, but the judge said that in 2028, his sentence can be reduced if he's proved that he's changed.
Imagine getting stood up for a day and it causes you to become a key part of a murder trial. It was 2012 in Kentucky, and Shayna Hoopers was 21 years old. She had just graduated from the University of Kentucky and was dating 29-year-old Ryan Poston. Ryan was an attorney, and the pair were said to be very toxic. They've been together for about a year and a half, but were very on and off. On the night of October the 12th, things would end for good. Those close to Ryan knew he wasn't happy. He tried ending things with Shayna multiple times, but she refused to accept this. She would turn up to his house, refuse to leave, and they would end up getting back together.
Toxic.
On the 12th of October, the pair were having food at Ryan's parents' house, and they would end up in another argument. Ryan decided to end things once and for all, and to prove to Shayna that he was over her, he decided to go on a date with another woman the next night. The woman was the stunning Audrey Bolt, who was the current Miss Ohio. Audrey and Ryan had arranged to go to a bar the night after at 9:30 p.m. Audrey was really looking forward to it and was very confused when he never showed up. Meanwhile, Shayna had turned up to Ryan's house again without warning. After another massive argument, she took one of his guns and shot him 6 times. She then decided to call police to confess. Now, while she was being interviewed by police, she was acting incredibly bizarre. She twirled around the room and sang, "I did it, yeah, I killed him." She also sang Amazing Grace. Shayna tried to claim that she acted in self-defense, but she was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. Audrey had to testify in the murder trial. However, in August 2016, Shayna was actually granted a new trial. This was because it was revealed that one of the original jurors was actually a felon. She was again found guilty though in her retrial and was sentenced to life.
The baby-faced...
Man, that's just a sign. If you guys are in a toxic relationship, man, just try to end it all because it can turn to something even worse, man.
Gangster that shot a little girl in the neck has been jailed for 50 years after a court heard that he knows the difference between right and wrong, but has no amenability to treatment. Noah Nay was sentenced as an adult for the 2022 shooting that saw the teen drive a stolen car and fire a gun towards the house in which the little girl was playing, hitting her in the neck and shoulder. It has been reported that his actions were part of the requirements for a gang initiation.
An American couple married for 75 years. They had one wish in common, a wish that shocked everyone. Jeanette, 96, and Alexander, 95. They started dating at the age of 8, were officially married in 1940, and live in San Diego, Calif. They have 5 sons and daughters and 16 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Some time ago, Alexander suffered an accidental fall that fractured his hip, and he was confined to his bed at home. He used a special bed. It was placed next to his wife Janet's bed. Soon after, Alexander lost interest in life and became weak. On this day, June 29th, Alexander lay in Janet's arms. The daughter informed her mother that her father had died. Janet said sadly, with tears in her eyes, "This is your wish, to pass away in my arms. I love you. Wait for me. Soon we will meet again." Surprisingly, what's on the calendar for June 29th, 75 years ago today? It was the day they were married. The next morning, their daughter found out. Her mother had also passed away peacefully. It turned out that their common wish was to pass away happily together in an embrace. Follow me. Get more true stories every day.
That is like a story that we can leave without coincidence, man. Like, that was their one true wish and it happened like just a day after each other, man. They were together that long. That's how they wanted to go out. That's really bizarre.
Here's every character I think that's going to be in the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. If you remember at the end of the movie, Abby ends up asking Mike, "Hey, when are we going to go back to see my friends? I want to see them." And Mike says, "You never know what's going to happen." Now, in my opinion, this movie's going to be based at least 5 to 15 years in the future. Now, hear me out. If we're following the plans of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 as a game, we have to go into the withered characters, because they've been untouched, unmaintenanced, and unloved for so long. We're going to be seeing withered characters in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Maybe not 15 years in the future, I may have dragged it a bit, maybe 3 to 5 years in the future. And as you guys know, all of the withered characters are a little bit more devious. And why are they more devious? Because these kids have been left alone for so long. They loved Abby, they loved hanging out with her. Yes, they wanted to kill her, but still. Withered Freddy, withered Chica, look at Bonnie, she doesn't have a face. Withered Foxy, Golden Freddy. Also think we're going to be seeing the puppet as well, aka Mike's little brother. So hear me out, I'm going to be the first one to say it. When we get a Five Nights at Freddy's 2, we are going to get withered characters. It's going to be based at least 3 to 5 years in the future. Just look at withered Bonnie. Imagine Abby pulls up, getting ready to see her friends, and all of a sudden sees Bonnie. My other theory is that they are going to be pissed. They've been left alone for way too long and miss their friend. And that is what's going to drive this next movie to be absolutely insane. Like and follow for more.
Yep, this nightmare is real, and planes are literally flipping over when passengers get up from their seats. A flight attendant for JetBlue had to issue an emergency announcement, making everyone realize their worst nightmares had come true on the plane, with one woman leaving a grim and dark message saying she wasn't sure if she'd ever see her grandkids again. The flight attendant asked all passengers to spread out as their weight was believed to be causing the plane to flip over, telling everyone to move to the middle of the plane.
Very slowly, little by little, move towards the middle of the apron because apparently everything is like it tips up.
With a tech expert saying this was so terrifying, he described it as the plane was about to do a backflip.
It felt like the plane was about to do a backflip.
Which begs the question of how safe are these planes to begin with. Many of the passengers had rushed to the rear of the plane when deplaning, which caused this, but there's still many questions which JetBlue does not have the answers for. While no one was injured, we don't know if this is something that can happen to all planes or if it's rare.
See how this fake thug reacted to a life sentence. In 2015, Jaleel Smith Riley was arrested for his involvement in a 2013 robbery that left Aaron Martin with a bullet in his head and Portia Brooks dead. Smith Riley pled guilty to the crime and was hoping to avoid a life without parole sentence. Prior to being sentenced, he cried and begged for leniency.
Consequences, man. That's his thug, bro.
His grandfather also spoke on his behalf.
He always come by to check on me and his grandmother. He always did. He worked in the church with us all.
When the judge spoke, Riley Smith didn't like what he heard.
For defendant serve a term of life without parole. As to count 4, the offense of attempted murder.
Check it out.
This heartless thug will die in prison.
Hey man, you have to deal with the consequences. If you wanna be about that life, you gotta know what comes with it.
One of the most disgusting shock videos on the internet explained. I'm explaining this off memory and other people's comments. There is no way I watch this video again because it's that gross. The video is 1 minute long, and as it starts, you hear a piano track over the video and you see 2 girls making out. But at around 10 seconds in, it gets absolutely sickening. One of the girls gets a glass cup and defecates in it, filling it all the way to the top. A jump cut then occurs and it shows the 2 women licking the feces in the cup like it's ice cream. It cuts again and it shows one of the girls rubbing the feces around her mouth, and the video then cuts again, and it shows the 2 girls making out with feces in their mouth and all over their faces. The next scene, one of the girls sticks her fingers down her throat, trying to make herself vomit into the glass as the other girl licks it. The next scene, it shows one of the girls standing up and the other one is on her knees. The one standing up then pukes directly onto the face of the girl on her knees. The final scene shows both girls completely covered in feces as it's even overflowing their mouths. And this is where the video finally concludes. This video is absolutely sickening, and when I tell you not to watch it, don't watch it. I know I say that for all the videos I cover, but this one isn't brutal or gory. It's just plain out disgusting, and you really just don't want to see it. You can watch reactions on YouTube of people watching this for the first time. Joe Rogan even has his reaction video up from years ago.
Hey guys, do you remember Adam Johnson, the hockey player who suffered the fatal cut to his neck in a hockey game on October the 28th? Well, the player whose skate caused the injury has actually been arrested and charged with manslaughter. This is Matt Petgrave, probably not saying that right, but he is the player whose skate caused the injury to Johnson's neck. And news out today is saying that he has been arrested and charged with the manslaughter of Adam Johnson. Now, initially, I was kind of shocked at this news. And all of the footage that I saw, I did not think that it was intentional. But then, when you go back and you watch the replay in slow motion, that kind of changes things. Apparently, the hockey world and all of the hockey fans have been waiting on this to come. I'm going to add a clip in here that shows when the injury occurred during that hockey game, and you'll watch it through in regular time first, and then it will be played in slow motion, and I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. You can see it happens quickly there, but watch it in slow motion where Petgrave is in the red, he comes across and intentionally kicks that leg up, which slashes Johnson's neck and results in his death.
Here's how all of the missing children from the Five Nights at Freddy's movie passed away and became the animatronics. Well, as you guys know, little backstory, these kids ended up going to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. They all ended up disappearing in, I'm pretty sure, 1984, all because of William Afton. Wanted to run some experiments and see if he was able to combine children's souls with these animatronics. And let's just say he did his damn thing. Up first is Freddy. It is said that Freddy's original character was unalived by hiding, which kind of makes sense because you never really see Freddy doing any wild shit. I mean, you see him, but he's always kind of just like lurking or pretending to be still. Then have Foxy, said to be the soul of one of the kids that was running, hence the reason Foxy is always so fast and always running. We also have to take into the account the kid in the orange, who has Foxy's hook, and literally starts sprinting as soon as Mike gets too close. Then have Chica, who's said to have the embodiment of one of the kids that was screaming. Seems as though you always see Chica when she jump scares people in the games is she's screaming, which kind of makes sense. Then have Bonnie, who's said to be after one of the kids that fought back. He obviously didn't win. That shows why Bonnie's always so brawling. Then you have Golden Freddy, who's said to be the souls of 2 children. Which is supposed to be someone named Cassidy, but in the movie it's Mike's little brother. That's the theory. Like and follow for more.
Oh no.
Those theories are crazy.
No, 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 no.
I had thought that I had seen everything when it came to cults, but you are not prepared for what this cult believes. So HBO just released this documentary about the Love is One cult, which was run by this woman, Amy Carlson, who calls herself Mother God. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but she believed she was controlled by the spirit of Robin Williams, and this like yassified version of Saint Germain. Also, I cover a lot of dark stuff on this page, so you should follow along. She also said she could channel and get advice from this like galactic federation of dead celebrities. There's like Mr. Rogers, Carrie Fisher, Steve Irwin, and randomly Donald Trump, who is not dead. But Robin Williams is at the top, and so the cult believes they're getting a lot of advice through Robin Williams, so they'll say things like, so one of the beliefs that this cult has is that one day Robin Williams is going to arrive in a spaceship to take Mother God away so that she can spiritually ascend. He also told her that she can only be 103 pounds to get on the spaceship, which is why she's trying to lose a lot of weight. Eventually, Mother God starts getting sicker and sicker, and also bluer and bluer because of the colloidal silver supplements they won't stop giving her, and everyone thinks, oh my god, Robin Williams must be coming on a spaceship really soon to help Mother ascend. Eventually, she passes away, and guess what? Shockingly, Robin Williams does not descend in an intergalactic spaceship to come collect the 103-pound body of Mother God. And so the cult members just have her body. They don't know what to do with it. They thought Robin Williams was going to come. So they hang out with it for 12 days until the police finally show up. Anyways, this whole thing is a trip. You just gotta watch it to believe it. I'm seeing photos.
Should we check that out, Seekers, man? People who be getting caught up in those groups, man, they be into some weird things, but to say that they thought Robin Williams was going to come down in a spaceship, that's just one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard watching these videos together with you guys. Be careful, man, of those groups.
Show a 13-year-old boy. Police say he murdered his mother, and before that, he's standing over her in a vulnerable position as he's getting ready to her to death. Derek Rosa snapped a selfie after the crime, his hands smeared with blood.
No, I'm not her. I just have a little bit of blood on my hand.
I need to know if your mom is breathing.
She's dead, miss.
Okay, why did you do that?
Blood all over the floor.
Where is your sister? Your sister's still there?
She's sleeping.
She's sleeping, okay.
Excuse me, miss, what do I do if she wakes up?
If you wake up, just let me know. I need to know. Do you think we can help your mom?
Miss, she's dead. I took pictures and I told my friends about it with that bag.
You told who about it?
My friends.
Who did you send those pictures to?
My friend. I don't know his real name because he is an online friend. But play with a lot.
Cell phone video shows the moment a teenage boy surrendered with his hands up.
His demeanor, he was very quiet, apologetic, very respectful. Not what you would expect walking into that home and seeing that crime scene.
The 13-year-old, identified as Derek Rosa, is currently in secure detention. When officers arrived to Unit 201 inside the Amelia Oaks apartment complex, they found the victim in her bedroom with multiple wounds, just inches from her newborn baby girl.
Next to her was a crib. And inside of that crib, a 14-day-old baby that fortunately was not injured.
Places that will disappear in your lifetime. Venice, Italy is a beautiful place, but it will disappear in your lifetime. Venice is slowly sinking.
What?
The canals cause many floods, and these floods are causing Venice to tilt east. Experts say that by 2100 the city will be uninhabitable. The Great Wall of China is amazing, but it will soon be gone. 1/3 of the wall has already been destroyed. This is mainly due to natural damage, for example climate change, but people walking on it and local settlements stealing bricks from it has also damaged the wall badly. Experts say that within decades the wall may be gone. San Francisco is an amazing city. It's known for earthquakes, but in 2016 geologists found something scary. They found 2 earthquake fault lines underneath the San Francisco Bay. This could destroy San Francisco, and there's a 75% chance this could happen before 2086. The Great Barrier Reef in Australia is one of the most amazing things in the world, but it won't be around for much longer. It's already decreased more than 50% of its original size, and lots of the vibrant coloured corals are now turning white. Some believe the Great Barrier Reef may disappear by 2030.
Damn, that's just in a couple of years. What the hell? All these places, man, that's about to disappear. I gotta see them before they go, man. The Great Wall, Venice, Italy. Hey, man, I want to travel. What the hell? I'm gonna have to put that on my list.
This is one of the worst true crime cases I ever covered, and this is a massive trigger warning. In 2007, the boy on the right named Gabriel Kuhn, who was 12 years old, was killed by Daniel Petrie, who was 16 and on the left. Daniel Petrie and Gabriel Kuhn became good friends and began playing an online role-playing game called Tibia. At one point of the game, Gabriel asked Daniel for 20,000 virtual cash to clear the stage. Gabriel borrowed money from Daniel to use in the game and then refused to pay him back. Gabriel then blocked Daniel on everything, and this made him furious, and he went to Gabriel's house to pay him a visit. A couple of days before the murder, Daniel called the home phone of Gabriel and his mom answered. She explained that she would be out of town and that her son would be home alone if they wanted to play, completely unaware of the boys falling out. And on August 23rd, 2007, Daniel went to Gabriel's house and knocked on the door. Nobody answered, and Daniel kept knocking, but eventually Gabriel started speaking to Daniel through the door. Daniel told Gabriel to unlock the door and let him in, and if he apologized to him, everything would be fine. Believing this, Gabriel unlocked the door and let Daniel in. And after entering the house, Daniel locked the door behind him. Daniel then brutally assaulted Gabriel. Gabriel tried his best to defend himself, but he failed to do so. Daniel was older, bigger, and stronger. Gabriel was dripping in blood after being brutally beaten by Daniel. Daniel then laughed at the terrified Gabriel and took him to the bedroom, where he then sexually assaulted him. Gabriel cried, but this made Daniel even more cruel. After all of this, Gabriel threatened Daniel, saying he would tell his mother everything that happened, but this only made Daniel more mad. And in a fit of rage, Daniel took a cord from a gaming console and wrapped it around Gabriel's neck and strangled him with it until he went limp. Daniel assumed Gabriel was dead, and believing this, Daniel tried to move and hide the body in the crawl space, leading to the bedrooms. However, the body was too heavy, and after realizing this, Daniel searched the house for sharp tools, and eventually he found a kitchen knife and a hacksaw. Daniel then returned to Gabriel's body, and in order to make it lighter, he took the knife and hacksaw and began cutting at the top of Daniel's leg to remove it, and as Daniel cut into Gabriel's leg, he woke up. Gabriel wasn't dead. He let out a blood-curdling scream, but Daniel restrained him, making sure to twist and turn the blade to make it even more painful. Eventually, Daniel dismembered his right leg and moved to his left. And after severing both of his legs, Gabriel passed away. His autopsy suggested he was still alive throughout the whole ordeal, and he eventually died from shock and blood loss. After Daniel finished the dismemberment, he tried to hide the body again, and he wrapped a cable and wire around Gabriel's body. But the body was still too heavy, and Daniel then fled the house. Gabriel's body was discovered by his brother, and the body was left by the hallway door and the legs and the hacksaw too. Daniel Petrie was admitted to a juvenile center in September 2007 to only 3 years. This is due to Brazil's laws of sentencing minors. And to make you realize how evil Daniel was, when the judge asked him if he had any last words of remorse, Daniel said this: "Gabriel was a coward and a thief. He burns in hell right now where I sent him. And when I die, I will find him in hell and finish my revenge." It's also worth saying that the photos of the crime and Gabriel's body had surfaced on the internet, and nobody knows how they got there. I highly recommend not to look at them due to the graphic nature of them, and they would definitely be the worst crime scene photos you will ever see. It's honestly insane how Daniel is walking free today. May Gabriel rest in peace.
This is the case of 19-year-old Alexi Treviso and how she went to the hospital complaining of back pain, but ended up getting charged with murder. Alexi Treviso was a 19-year-old senior in high school living in Artesia, New Mexico. She was on the varsity cheerleading team, and she was dating her boyfriend Devin for about 2 years. Honestly, Alexi just seemed like a typical teenage girl. Her prom was coming up soon, her graduation was around the corner, and she was already thinking about what university she was going to go to in the fall. January 26, 2023, that day was pretty much just like any other day for 19-year-old Alexi. She went to cheerleading practice that day and got home in the afternoon. She spent some time with her family and then she went to bed. However, she was woken up in the middle of the night with severe back pain. This was like not normal back pain. Like Alexi was in so much pain that her mother decided to take her to the hospital. Alexi and her mother Rosa arrived at the Artesia General Hospital in the early morning hours of January 27th. Alexi checked in and told the doctors that she had really bad pain in her back, so they wanted to do a test to see if maybe she had a UTI or a kidney infection, since back pain can be a symptom of both of those things. So they're getting ready to do those tests, and then they asked Alexi, "Are you pregnant?" Which is a very common thing to ask. I mean, if you're a girl and you've gone to the doctor before, I feel like they always ask you if you're pregnant. On top of that, experiencing back pain can be a symptom of pregnancy. So the doctor asked Alexi, "Are you pregnant?" And she says no, that she's still a virgin and that she hasn't engaged in any sexual activity. So the doctor's like, okay, perfect. And they send Alexi over to go get a CAT scan done so that they can check for kidney stone. And while she's getting that test done, the doctors decide to still do a pregnancy test just in case, because you never know. So they did a urine test, and when the results came back, they were positive. Alexi was pregnant. Now, of course, pregnancy tests can sometimes be inaccurate, so the doctors wanted to check her blood just to make sure that she was actually pregnant. And while all of this is going on, Alexi tells the doctors that she needs to go to the bathroom. Like, she has to go number 2, and it's coming out, like, right now. So she gets up from the hospital bed and she literally runs to the bathroom holding her butt because she feels like it's going to come out. She locks herself inside the bathroom and she's in there for quite some time. Doctors and the staff at the hospital are getting kind of worried because she's been in there for a while and they know that she's pregnant. So they're thinking maybe she's having some type of miscarriage or something else is happening. They knock on the door, but Alexi refuses to come out. At one point, her mother Rosa also goes over to knock on the door, but Alexi says that she's just having trouble going number 2 and that she'll be out shortly. At this point, Alexi has been in the bathroom for more than like 20 minutes. So the doctors tell her, if you don't open the door right now, we're going to unlock it. Before the doctor can unlock the door, Alexi just opens up and starts walking back to her room. One of the doctors looks inside the bathroom just to see, what happened, and they do see that there was all over the floor. They asked Alexi, what's going on? And she said that she simply got her period. Call over the cleaning lady to come clean up the bathroom, and when she starts to take out the trash, notices that the trash bag feels heavier than usual. So Leela, the housekeeper, goes to look inside the garbage bin, and when she pulls out a bag, she finds a baby. The baby was inside a clear plastic bag at the bottom of the bin. Okay, more in part 2.
Never wake up a sleepwalker.
Do you want me to wake him up?
They're laughing. This ain't funny though.
This girl was freaking out when her sister got out of bed and started sleepwalking.
Stop staring at me like that. Alexis! Mom! Mom!
It's like a spirit takes them over.
She's just standing here staring at me. Hey. I gotta go. Sienna.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Follow
for more.
Crazy sleepwalking stories. What the hell? Okay, man. You got proof, man. I'm not to wake up and damn sleepwalk. YouTube, you guys, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate that, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys subscribe. Hit that like button, man. Hit that post notifications, man. Also, tell me down below, man, if you guys enjoy the changes to the channel, man. Like I said, I'm coming back on the talking, letting the videos play through, man. I fixed the audio for you guys, man. Some more changes are coming to the channel. I just want to grow this, grow our channel to be the best it possibly can be. It's May, man. Haven't missed a day of uploading. Like I said, maybe in May you might see me do double uploads on the day. I don't know if I should do that yet. I don't want to overflood you guys, but if you guys down for it, tell me down below, man. I can do some double uploads for you guys. I'm out. Peace, seekers.